All right, all right. Welcome in to the Hoops Rehab Show on a Friday night, Eric. Game 6. Lakers win on to the second round. How you doing, Eric?
Good, man. Good, really good. I must say, as I've kind of spoke about the last few days, I am pleasantly surprised that it ended tonight. It just goes to show why teams were 0 for 159, right? When they were down 3-0.
Yeah.
Really, really tough to come back from that. And so now it's 0 and 160.
60, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it is hard to win 4 games in a row in the playoffs in the NBA. Still hasn't been done. Obviously been done in hockey and in baseball and things like that, but it is impossible in the NBA. But we're going to get into the Lakers. We're going to get into the epic collapse by the Orlando Magic. I mean, history had to have been made in that second half. RJ Barrett hitting the 3 to win the game in overtime to go to a game 7. We're going to preview the Celtics and the Sixers as well. And another edition of Schools Out. If you guys missed the first one, stay tuned for the Schools Out segment. Sending all your favorite teams off into some vacation place.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Eric, you ready to get this cracking?
Let's do it.
So before we get started, if you guys are in the chat right now in YouTube or Twitter or X, jump in the chat. Tell me about the Lakers. Tell me about anything you want to talk about, NBA, Game 7s, Game 6, whatever it is. Hit the chat, and we'll try to get to those comments before the end of the show. All right, Eric. So going into this game, I would say our panic meter was a little higher than normal. I would say you were pretty much already say it's going to Game 7. I texted you before the game that Lakers are going to win. I thought Austin Reeves would have a bigger game. That's fine. But I felt like they're going to. So what did you think of how they came out and what the result was there?
Yeah, I mean, it after games 4 and 5, it got, at least according, to me, or I thought it got a little serious, right? I mean, Houston was going back home. You knew the crowd would be hot, ready to roll. If Houston were to win that game, it goes to a Game 7. And Game 7s, I think it would have favored the Lakers. They're at home. They were up 3-0 in a series. But when it comes to one game, you really don't want to get there because really it's truly anything could happen. And so I think as the series progressed, I mean, there was just that's what happens in the playoffs. Like there's just every game is kind of its own entity. I think the Lakers took Houston, apparently, right? He took Houston's best shot, Game 3. Game 5. Houston, we talked about, they made 14 threes. Tonight, I know it was bad, so I just want to see what they were. They were 5 for 28 from 3. So I think Lakers played similar defense to what they did in Game 5. It just, the difference was Houston wasn't knocking down their shots. And so I know we'll get into it a little bit here, but that was just kind of my first thought. And then also, I mean, looking at I have some notes here. So remember the first game, Houston was had 21-3, in offensive rebounds, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to go through every game, but just the last 3. So offensive rebounds alone. So Game 4 was Houston 11, Lakers 10.
Okay.
Game 5 was Lakers 13 and Houston 6.
Okay, so we shortened it up.
Yep. And then tonight it was a kind of late in the fourth. Offensive rebounds, Lakers 10, Houston 6. So that was one of the things that I think completely turned around. And it obviously played a difference because Houston didn't have as many possessions. And as you can see, they didn't even crack 80 points tonight. So obviously a nice effort, played pretty good damn defense. And hey, they did what they had to do to win.
Yeah, I mean, crazy effort in the second quarter by the Lakers. Just kind of, it was like a slow, sluggish type of game. And you're like, all right, are they going to take control or not? And then Lakers really clamped down in the second quarter, held Houston to 13 points. And then that continued in the second half, right? Somebody like DeAndre Ayton, 16 boards, right? Like we need players to do that, right? If you're not going to have a big offensive game, you got to contribute somewhere, right? And he did everything that he was asked for tonight. I mean, obviously only shot the ball 6 times, but 16 big boards is huge. I thought obviously LeBron, felt better. It looked like he had his legs under him, so he had a pretty good game, obviously. And Austin Reeves kind of was able to get more of a rhythm going. He's only 7 for 14. He still doesn't have his legs under him. Obviously 0 for 4 from 3. But I do like some of the drives that he was able to get, and just in general get back in the groove of playing, because after this, they're going to have a little bit of break, which they got lucky because of the game 7s on Sunday. They're not going to play until Tuesday, which, gives them Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which is a great break for them right now, especially with Austin Reeves kind of coming back. And hopefully giving a little bit more time for Luka. I'm probably going to get into that in a couple more minutes from now on, but they're going to be playing every other day from that point on. Right up until about between games 5 and 6, I think they get an extra day. But other than that, it is every other day against the behemoth, the champions, OKC. Right? It's going to be a challenge, Eric. We all know that.
Yeah.
But what I want to do now is just commend the Lakers getting to the first round, or getting through the first round.
Enjoy that first, and then.
Everybody thought this team was dead in the water and there's no way they're going to beat Houston. It was all over, right? LeBron James got these guys up 3-0 on his own. Austin Reeves was able to come back in game 5, get his feet wet, do better in this game, and they're all now into the second round. So congrats right there. Then we'll get to some of the OKC talk.
Yeah. I want to, obviously I know we have a few days or probably a show or two to kind of get into the breakdown of OKC, maybe prediction and this and that. Obviously, you got to this is one of those series you just got to enjoy, because we know what's potentially coming next round. And so, Lakers were big underdogs. Obviously, if we knew that Kevin Durant was not playing in the series, it probably would have been a tighter kind of prediction window, if you will. But regardless, Lakers, we saw they're true role players. I mean, they were role players, right? And sometimes it's fine. I mean, that's what they are. So we saw Luke Kennard be very instrumental in game 1 and 2, and then maybe looked a little better tonight. Just obviously had a tough time there for a few games, but then you had a Rui step up, right? And then you had LeBron pretty consistent throughout. Marcus Smart, I don't think we could ever take away anything from him defensively. I think he was a dog all 6 games. Offensively, right? He had better games than others, and that's just kind of how he is, and we talked about that last game. But as long as you have a couple guys a game to get 4 victories out of 7, that's kind of what you need. And so Houston threw the kitchen sink. I mean, they like their lineup with Jabari, Eason, Sengun, Thompson, and Shepard. They had as far as plus minus, they were plus big on that. So I think that's something, the first game of the series, they didn't have that starting lineup. I forgot who was in there, but I think it was maybe a Kogi or something like that. I forgot who it was, but anyways, yeah. And obviously Houston, they kind of like their length, and they like that they probably don't have to switch anything. They really don't have to double that much. But I think just Lakers, slowly but surely tonight, they probably saw something in game 5 that kind of was like a light bulb, because it was just completely different. And I guess for me, even game 5, Lakers were up by about 10 or 11 in the first quarter, and it was either going to go one way or the other. And Houston kind of came back and made it a game, and obviously took it. But this time, Lakers were up 8-10, and instead of it coming back to Houston, they doubled that lead. And sure, there was some moments there in the second half. We thought maybe Houston might creep in, but honestly, I was chilling. I felt like it was pretty much over at half.
Yeah, no, I mean, they did a great job defensively. I mean, kind of held Reed Shepard in check, right? He was 1 for 10 from 3. So, obviously he was just getting into defenders or offensive players a little better this game, not allowing the wide open 3 like they did in game 5. Closing out on threes, all that good stuff. And, look, they were 5 for 28 from 3. So that makes a huge difference for the Lakers. I do think, moving forward, looking at this trying to piece the whole series together. When you look at the first 3 games, Lakers defensively have played some of the best defense they have played all season, right? First game, second game, they held them down. Obviously, KD only played in the second game, and they still held them below 100 points.
Yeah.
Look at this game. Obviously, 78 points. I mean, you never get that in the NBA these days, unless you're the Orlando Magic. We're going to get into that.
Or the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh God. Yeah, we got lots to get into.
We got to see. They got some explaining to do. But that's.
Oh man, but yeah. So they've been playing well defensively, right? Obviously, Game 4 got away from them. Game 5 got away from them. But other than that, as a whole, when you kind of pierce this out, they've been playing super well in defense, and that's what they're going to need against OKC. Now we don't know the status of Jalen Williams yet, right?
Yeah.
Same lines as Luka, like.
Two full weeks, right, on Tuesday for him.
Yeah, he's essentially will have about 2 weeks fully. Jalen Williams, we'll see if he's ready on Tuesday. I have a feeling that's going to be pushed or extended because of his previous injuries with the hamstring this year.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if he's playing Game 1. I mean, I'd just say, and they haven't said anything yet, but I would just be surprised, just given his kind of history this year. But regardless of that, they know how to play without him. They are freaking like a number 1 team without him regardless this whole season because they've gotten used to playing. They had to play, 49 games without him? I think they were 39-10, and then, 2 more playoff games without him, or three playoff games without him. So they know how to win. That's not a problem. But we're going to have to stop some of these other players that they have. SGA is going to be one thing. Right, he's going to be difficult to guard regardless, and I think Marcus Smart getting some length on him is going to help and kind of get into his face. But he's going to be a beast. But we can't let the other guys beat us, and that's what they need to learn from what they learned from the series.
Yeah, I mean, I just went real quick. So the last Thunder game, they went 17 for 34 from 3, and so I mean, ultimately, I think that one of the good things is the Lakers face a team. There's no comparison, but at least a team that's athletic, physical. I mean, Houston on defense. I mean, they're no joke, right? They were kind of like OKC style defensively, and so. At least Lakers would have gone through something kind of similar. But I just see like a big difference other than, of course, like some of the star power is just that 3-point shot. And Lakers are going to give it up. Like, it's just kind of the way they've been playing defense. And they got to hope for 4 offish nights, right, from OKC. And so, again, I know probably Sunday we'll have a show and probably break it down. But, yeah, we're going to see how it's going to look. I wanted to ask you, and I think I may know your answer. So you feel, obviously there was 2 options. So Lakers were either going to start this Sunday, which I think would have been kind of crazy, but they would have played Sunday, Tuesday, and then they would have played Game 3 Saturday. Yeah. So do you think for them, obviously coming off a tough series against Houston, do you think it was better to have this time off in the beginning of the series or kind of more in the middle with the Lakers personnel?
I'll put it this way. I think having the time off right now is going to be more beneficial for the only main reason, trying to steal Game 1.
Yep.
Because I feel like if you can get Game 1, that just changes the course of a series, changes the momentum of a series. And I feel like if they would have had to play a Game 7 on Sunday or Game 1 on Sunday, they would have been so flat. They would have got annihilated. And we'll be talking about how this series would be over in like 4 quickly, right? Yeah. And that may as well happen. It could happen on Tuesday as well. We're not saying that it won't, but I think this gives them the best chance to game and scheme against OKC and be ready for them. The traveling, from 2 to 3, right, and trying to go back to LA only on one day is going to be difficult, right? Like they're going to play a late game and then have to travel, get home early in the morning, and then have to play the next day. But so is OKC, right? Yes, they're young, they got fresh legs, but they are still going to be traveling, right? So it's not like both teams get the same advantage there. I think the Lakers are ready for it. Like, I know obviously we are Laker heads and we're Laker fans and all that, but I feel there's a lot of confidence in this team despite not having their best player. And we'll see what they're made out of and see if they can push this series. My biggest thing is there's so many conflicting reports on Luka.
Yeah.
But because of that doesn't give me too much optimism that he's going to be back early in the series or maybe even in this series, right? Because he really has to get to the point where he's on court working and kind of scrimmaging against guys. Maybe this gives him, the Sunday, like Saturday, Sunday, and you see where he's at on Saturday, Monday, right? And during the practice sessions. And then that kind of gives you a better gauge of would he actually return in the series. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the first, I guess the scheduling. Yeah, I mean, I think if they would have finished it off Wednesday, you're like, hey, maybe you start Sunday, then you do Sunday, Tuesday with the break. But yeah, game one is so important. I'm not going to say OKC is going to be rusty, but if there is a game to potentially get them, it might be coming off obviously a big win in game 6, and then a team like OKC that wouldn't have played in about 8 days when that comes. So that's kind of something to think about. And then just rest for LeBron and Marcus Smart is kind of like what I'm thinking about too. And then we know Luka's timeline, which is kind of all over the place. We know he's going to probably miss game 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really change that because the Lakers games 3 and 4 was going to be like game 3 was going to be Saturday regardless. But what was that? So if game 3 is Saturday, so that means that'd be what, 5 weeks and 2 days, right? From his injury, or is it 6 weeks and 2?
Yeah, so he'll be 5 weeks on Thursday. Yeah, so 5 weeks and 2 days. Which is, man, I mean, not that you want to say that it's
in the middle
6-week window, right? So and it's not just like that's not set in stone. Like not every single person comes back in the same amount of time. And there could be grade 2 strains are a range, right? It could be from 25 to 75% essentially. So he could be on the larger side of a partial tear versus being on the smaller side of a partial tear. We just never know that because they're not going to give us that info. Right. And we can talk about how he went to Europe. I kind of told you guys before, that's not necessarily always going to speed up the thing, but hopefully help heal it to the point where he's not going to re-aggravate it when he comes back. So I think the Lakers got to keep that mentality of extending our time in the playoffs. And if they keep that mindset and knowing that at some point, if they keep winning, Luka will be back. And they got to play with that mindset this whole series.
Yeah, if we're sitting here and we're like, ooh, nice, they're getting an extra day between game 5 and 6. I mean, that's going to be a miracle in itself. Like that means we're in a good place. I think you and I right now would take it going to game 6, Lakers down 3-2, right? I mean, right? Like that's just reality of it. We would probably take that at this second and hey, go home and see if you can make it a game 7. So that's, one thing I thought about. And just kind of extend it. And I mean, do you like, besides the outcome, because it could very well get swept or lose in 5, do you feel there's going to be a better effort against OKC than Phoenix did? Is that
Eric? If I know when you listen to this on audio, you all won't see my face, but
his face, guys,
I gave Eric the nastiest stink face, like
kind of like a dunk,
to say right?
It was like a nasty dunk.
To say that they're close to Phoenix.
Who was that? DeAndre Jordan that made that face when he made
that dunk? Oh
yeah. That
or
was like
Blake Griffin. I think it was Blake
Griffin. Oh yeah, Blake Griffin did it, and he made that. Yeah,
but no, they're gonna give OKC a series. I have
a series, or they're gonna give him a bunch of games.
They're gonna give him a series, Eric. It's gonna be a series. OKC is not sweeping through the Lakers. I'll tell you that. Wow. I know that much. They're not gonna sweep through the Lakers. Now, to me, it's honestly game 1 is the biggest game in the series. Like you have to create doubt in OKC's mind by winning game 1. And I think if they don't win game 1, it'll be a little bit more difficult of a series, even though it's
game 2
until somebody wins on the road. Right. But You can't be going down 0-2 and come back to LA and really expect to win against the champs. So,
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna mess around and try to like be competitive and win the series, like in my opinion, and it has to be 2-2. I don't care what it takes to get there. You win one in OKC, you win one in LA, right? That's probably like the best path for a 2-2, because you're not going to win 2 in OKC. If you lose a 2 in OKC, you're probably not going to win the 2 at home. And so, yeah, you got to win like a game 1 and maybe a game 3, right? And go from there. But we'll see. Try to enjoy this for a few days. Didn't expect them to be in the second round. So obviously here we are.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So Lakers win, big game. And now they can take a little breather over the weekend, while there's other teams that kind of have to play these crazy game 7s. We have 3 of them, Eric. 3 of them.
All names, right?
We got to talk about the Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons.
Oh my gosh.
There's 2 things that have happened in 2 days in the playoffs. I've never seen a score so outrageous Atlanta when Mitch Robinson got in a fight with Dyson Daniels. It was 71-51 at that point. It was a 71-21. It was a 50-point game in the second quarter.
Yeah, I think the first, to be honest with you, I didn't miss the beginning. The first glimpse, I thought it was like, I think I saw like 61-18. I'm like, no, this is not possible.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know we're talking about Orlando, but Orlando is.
To me, the second thing happens is Orlando's up by 25 points. So I'm like, man, I can't believe Detroit is really going to do this. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we were texting, right? I'm trying to think like what we were. Yeah, I was just like, damn, like it's a wrap for Detroit. You know, I'm like, geez, you're like, what's wrong with them? I'm like,
then
I don't know.
Getting tweets. Orlando's missed 17 shots in a row, 22 shots in a row.
I think I got to what did I say? I got to.
Did you get more than that?
That's crazy. I know they were 1 for 20 in the fourth.
I mean,
it got to 23 shots.
They made 4 shots in the second half. 4. They scored 19 points.
That just doesn't happen
in a playoff game, in a game 6 on your home court, trying to beat the number 1 seed.
They were up 24, 63 to 62 to 38.
So,
and for us Laker heads, we remember game 7, Lakers in Portland 2000. Portland missed, I believe, 12 to 13 shots, so half of what Orlando missed, and that felt like crazy. If you remember that, I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
like it was just Portland, like couldn't buy a bucket, and Lakers obviously were the beneficiaries. It was game 7. It was a Western Finals, but they were home too. Orlando was at home, as you said.
Yeah.
Portland was on the road, and Orlando was at home, and I was just like watching in disbelief. I just saw, it's weird because Detroit cut the big lead to 10.
Yeah.
And then it went back up to 17. And I'm like, okay, it's a wrap. And since it was 17, it went from them being they went on, what the hell was the run? Like 34 to 4 run. 34 to 4.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm laughing because you can't do this. Like, I don't understand how that was possible.
And they call timeouts, I hope, man. Because
man. I
don't know the Orlando coaches, but
this is such a deflating loss that you may as well not go to game 7 in Detroit. Like, literally, Orlando, like, I'm not saying that there's no chance they don't have a chance to win this game, but it's probably 99% right now. Because you have literally had them on the ropes, and now your confidence is completely shook. You're still down Franz Wagner, and he's not coming back, I doubt it, for game 7. Cade's going off. He had 45 in game 6 or 5, and then he had 32 tonight, right? So, I think their chances are as slim as possible. But this is the NBA. We don't know whatever happens. It's kind of hard to gauge, but man, you can't lose a game like that, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, you're the underdog. You got game 6 at home. We always know that game 6 is important for a closeout at home. And so for them to just totally fall off the face of the earth, and Yeah, I can't imagine the psyches there. Obviously, Wagner didn't play today, right? And so he's banged up, and so they may have let the Detroit Pistons off the hook, and maybe Detroit wins Game 7. They play Toronto. I don't think so, but they play Cleveland or Toronto next round, and maybe it's like, hey, maybe the Detroit team we thought we were going to see, maybe they're back, right? And so, just obviously tough for Orlando tonight.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in Game 7. I mean, I'm sure it'll still be a good game, but that is just a unreal loss, right? So what are your predictions? You think Detroit's going to pretty much handle business?
Yeah. I thought the winner of I thought Orlando had a good chance to win today, and because they've just been really good at home in this series, and Detroit just didn't seem quite right. And for 2.5 quarters, it felt that way, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, now you gotta give usually the advantage to the home team in Game 7. I know most of the time they win them, and especially just the way it got to a Game 7.
Yeah.
And so it looks like Detroit might repeat history against Orlando in a 1-8 matchup like they did in 2003.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Doc Rivers was the Orlando coach at that time. So
yeah. All right. So then we had another pretty epic ending to the Cavs and Raptors game with RJ Barrett in a game-winning 3 that bounced 20 feet in the air, almost like the kind of reminded me of the Kawhi shot from the corner, obviously that was from the corner, but and it kind of rolled around rim. This one, it was just like bounced straight up, bounced straight back in, won the game for them. Pretty amazing. Eric, I was thinking, where's James Harden?
I was hoping you'd ask me why they lost, and I was gonna just say his name so fast. First off, so that shot, it reminded me of Kawhi, and then also Halliburton, excuse me, last year, Indiana against the Knicks.
Yeah, the bounce. Yep.
Yeah, and man, it's tough enough to like lose a game on the buzzer, but to me, it's got to be super gut wrenching for it to be one that bounces up because you think they missed, and then it bounces in. But yeah, I mean, going back to Cleveland, I mean, it's James Harden, 5 for 14, 1 for 4 from 3. I mean, played 44 minutes, just 16 points. I mean, it's just not good enough, obviously. And so he's going to have to. That's the thing, with Cleveland. I feel like they can sneak up on teams and maybe go on a run here, but they got a couple players that just sometimes, especially James Harden, where they just kind of disappear and you could lose a series because of that, right? And so they'll be at home just like Detroit will be, but like if they move on, which I think they will, I think it's just going to be tough to have a consistent performance from that backcourt.
Yeah, I mean, Raptors are tough, man. They got a bunch of young guys that you would never think would be stepping on the playoffs. Like obviously Colin Murray Boyles, who's a rookie, and he's like playing 40 minutes off the bench, right? Stepping up. You got Jacoby Walter, who's another player. Like going into the season, if you told me who Jacoby Walter was, I'd probably say, I already know who he is. I mean, who he played for? Like it'd probably be one of those, right? But you got guys, young talent that they're doing such a great job there in Toronto. Obviously, you had Brandon Ingram out, so you had to have people step up, and RJ Barrett did that, right? And I think Scotty Barnes can't get more credit than he's getting right now on the job that he's doing on Donovan Mitchell, or when he switches on James Harden at times too. Just in general of the defense that he's providing, and it's just making it tough for those players, and almost. Not that they're a non-factor, but they're being slowed down enough for them to win, essentially.
Yeah, they're young, they're hungry, they got a lot of talent. They're playing with house money. Like, nobody really thought they'd probably win the series, including us, obviously, not even a game. And so they've pushed the series to the limit, and you never know. Again, Game 7, I think, with Brandon Ingram being out, it really does hurt them kind of moving forward if they do pull off Game 7. But they're a young team. All the pressure in the world is going to be on Cleveland not to lose in the first round of a game, in a game 7 at home. And so sometimes, there could be a crack when that happens. And so you got to give it up to that, probably, the coaching too, right? Darko, what's his name? What's his name?
I'm not going to butcher his name right
Rajkovic, right? Rajkovic or something like that. Sorry, coach. I know we're kind of bad with these coaches' names sometimes, but he's coaching him up too. Right? I know it's Darko. So my man Darko.
Yeah, no, he's been doing a hell of a job all year. He should definitely be in the coach, in the candidacy for a coach of the year, right? Like he should be in the top 3 at least, right? Because nobody expected the Raptors to kind of be the team that they are right now.
Yeah. So he's coaching them up. They're playing. I think Barnes is definitely kind of a star in the making, and so we'll see. We got 3 Eastern Conference game 7s, so it's there's one going to be tonight, which we'll get into right now, and then the 2 on Sunday.
Yeah, sure. So we got game 7 Saturday night, 2 game 7s Sunday.
Yep.
And first we're going to see the Sixers at Boston, right? And we talked about going into game 6, how well Boston's been playing on the road in these last playoff runs, like last couple of years. They've just been a really good playoff team on the road, pretty much the best one on the road, and just haven't played that well at home. So does that concern you? The fact that they got beat by Philly in the last 2 games, Embiid is finally, now he's 3 games in, and Embiid seems to be getting his groove going. And I know we get caught up in all his injuries and everything that he has. But the dude is a beast, and he's a former MVP, and he can get 30 and 10 any given night. Are you worried for Boston?
I am. I look, I think if they play this game 10 times, Boston probably wins 7 of them or 8.
Yeah.
But when you're playing a team that just has a lot of talent. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, you named some of the guys, but obviously with Embiid, Paul George, Maxey, Edgecombe, Maxey can go off for 50 or something, right? Something crazy. And you can be in big trouble, Tyrese Maxey. And so that would be my concern is can Boston win it? Yes. Is there a good chance they can? They've been obviously very successful the past few years, but I would be pretty nervous that 2 of these guys can just go off. And if they do, it could be night. And we've seen game 7s just get super lopsided just because this is just real funky and something weird happens. And Boston, I know you wanted to talk about Tatum a little bit, like the health, right, for them. It's been a long season. They probably wanted to wrap this up, obviously, a few games ago. It's game 7. It's going to be, they're going to be, obviously the crowd's going to be going crazy. But yeah, just to answer your question, I'd be pretty nervous if I was Boston.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about talent, a couple weeks ago, or before the playoffs started, right? A couple weeks kind of before the season ended, you're looking at Philly and you're like, I think that's a good amount of talent. And when Paul George finally came back from the suspension and how well he was actually playing after the suspension, you're Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe is obviously a great rookie. Paul George playing the way he's playing. And then all of a sudden you hear that Embiid, has appendicitis and has to get his appendix removed. So that was kind of like a damper, but you're like, oh, if I'm a team that's a 1, 2, or, essentially pretty much 1 or 2 seed, I do not want to play Philly.
Yeah.
And they have shown that they got a ton of talent. And I'm not going to to me, this is a 50-50 game. I can't pick a winner in this one. I feel like this is an even money game. The point spread is probably 3 in favor of Boston. I haven't looked at it yet. Somewhere probably like that, I would say. But I think it's going to be closer than normal. And then one of the main concerns is Tatum and how he left the last game, right? So obviously Joe Mazzulla is not going to talk about it. Oh yeah, he's fine. He was just he was getting some treatment in the locker room. Tatum said, "Oh, my leg got stiff. I'm fine. I told everybody I'm fine." I highly doubt he's fine.
Yeah.
If it was nothing,
You would have went back. Yeah, because it wasn't over.
Okay, you're playing, right?
Yeah.
They didn't say it was a cramp. You didn't hear the word like, "Oh, I cramped up and I needed to get some fluids and things like that." You didn't hear that. You heard my leg felt stiff. What does that mean? My leg felt tight. That means my calf felt tight. So that's like the precursor to a strain, right? Like if you have tightness in your calf, it's something that, at this point, like when he gets into the next game, it could be made worse, right? And we know how his history is, right? He had the Achilles tear last year on the other side. So I would be a little concerned about Tatum this game. Like I don't know if we're getting 100% Tatum. And is he really back to 100% yet, right? Because he's still recovering like mentally and physically from the Achilles, even though he's been playing pretty well. So I would be really concerned like for Boston. And to me, that almost puts Philly in the advantage there.
Yeah, no, I think Boston's kind of been like typically a little hush-hush kind of about injuries and things like that. So I'm not surprised there. And so, yeah, I think, and I mean, it could be all for naught. Maybe he plays really well and they win it. But yeah, I think if he was fine, he would have came back out. I know they were down, but they were within like semi-striking distance. It's not like they were down 30, And so I know Vegas, kind of, favors Boston. I think they're actually like a 7.5 point favorite. But that's neither here nor there. I for me, most likely will Boston win? Sure. Is it, would it be a surprise if they won? No. But would it be a big surprise for me if Philly won? No. And it's just because they're playing pretty well. They got a lot of talent, like we keep saying. And I think it's going to be a really good game. It's going to be tight in the fourth. Yeah. And I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to watching Game 7. And we have 3 in the first round. So you got to love the NBA because the first round is like chaotic. It's like a Sour Patch Kid. You don't know what one time, all of a sudden you're like, this is the best team. And then all of a sudden you're like, this is the best team. And then all of a sudden somebody loses and you're like, how the hell did that happen? Right?
Yeah. It's just funny because with the way a lot of the series started, you hear a lot of chatter like, oh, they should go like move it back to a game 5 or a 5-game series. And this is exactly why it's never going to happen. You have a bunch of series that go 6-7 games, all competitive, 3 of them 7, another 4 of them, I guess, to 6. And then the one, obviously the OKC, right? Yep. Or I guess, and then the San Antonio went to 5 as well. But anyways, so we're getting a lot of extended series and that's what the NBA likes, and obviously the fans do too.
Yep, fun times. But Eric, we got some teams that are not going to be having much fun anymore.
Forgot about that.
So if you can cue the music here, Eric, we're going to get into our segment called "Schools Out." We got to send a couple teams on a summer vacay. Oh,
that's good.
Yeah. It's my jam right there.
Is this the jam? I don't even know.
But I like your little bucket hat.
Bucket hat,
Okay. So the first team I'm going to talk about, Eric, are those record-setting Atlanta Hawks. And when I saw them down, listen, let me get my towel first. I saw them down, 50 points in the second quarter, starting fights, Dyson Daniel wanting to get kicked out, all that good stuff. Oh, you even got the neck thing tied up. Right?
Yeah, fresh. Got choking like Atlanta over here. Oh,
I thought, where I'm going to send them? I'm going to send them to China.
Cancun? Not Cancun
No, we're going to China. We're going to the Shanghai Sharks because every single player on that team deserves to play in the CBA and never be back in the NBA because that is the most embarrassing loss I've ever seen in the NBA playoffs, Eric.
Yeah. It wasn't the fact that it went 6 games. Obviously, we're not shocked that the Knicks won. But the way Atlanta went out, those last 3 games in particular, game 6, come on, man. That was just really bad.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Terrible. And so how I like to do with these teams is tie a little bow, right, on their season. So kudos to Atlanta, I guess. They did go 46-36. improved from last year's 48-42 mark. I don't think anybody's going to say that they don't have a lot of promise, because they do. They potentially will learn from this. They got to get to the gym. They ain't going on no vacation, hopefully, obviously. And so I think they got a bright future. I guess their biggest unrestricted free agent will be CJ McCollum, who they obviously traded for during the deadline or so, and or a little bit before that. And so a lot of their guys are going to come back. They got a core, and so we'll see kind of what they do going forward.
Yeah, should be interesting. I still like their team. Obviously, I'm a little disappointed in how they ended the series, but that does go to show you that I think New York is kind of getting it together.
Yep.
Hopefully they're not getting me too excited, but they are starting to galvanize and coalesce and come together. So bye-bye, Atlanta. Good luck in China.
We'll see ya.
All right. So the next team we got to is the disappointing Denver
most
Nuggets.
disappointing team.
Now, I think, like you said, you hit it on the head. They are the most disappointing team in this playoffs because the Minnesota Timberwolves lost their whole starting backcourt and the backup to their starting backcourt, and you still lost a game 6.
Yeah.
And to me, that kind of shows you that their window has been completely shut.
Ooh, wow.
They have no championship window at this point. And I'm sending them to Serbia, Eric.
Ooh.
They're going to Serbia. They're going to go out with the Joker. Going to go bet on horses. They're going to hang out with Joker's brother and do all that stuff. But I am disappointed in Denver.
Yeah, me too. I had some praise for them. It's interesting. So last year they were 50-32. They were the 4 seed. They had a real tough end of the season last year. We obviously know that Michael Malone got fired and then Adelman took over. They actually went on a nice run comparatively to this year, where they actually had an amazing finish. They had won into the playoffs about 13, 14 games, including game 1.
Yeah.
They were 54-28, third seed. Did they have injuries as well? Yes, they did. So Aaron Gordon out, Peyton Watson out. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say those two are not really key pieces, but you still got to handle business against a very depleted Minnesota team. If you go and you lose to San Antonio in the second round with that depletion of a team, I mean, what am I going to say? Yeah. But for you to kind of be like this big and bad, like Denver team, you can do no wrong. The Joker is just the best thing ever created. He's still amazing. Him and Jamal Murray, as long as they're there, I think they still have a chance to be competitive. But yeah, in terms of them, so they have a big offseason. So they got Peyton Watson. He's a restricted free agent. So I know that's definitely different than unrestricted. They could obviously match any kind of offers. And then they have the likes of Tim Hardaway Jr., Tyus Jones, Bruce Brown, that are unrestricted free agents. I'd imagine they're not going to really retain the services of those two guys. They're probably going to want to kind of re-up there a little bit. And let's be honest. I mean, Aaron Gordon, like, he's had such a great turnaround in Denver, but he has obviously been really banged up the last 2 seasons, and you cannot really depend on that, obviously. And so, we'll see what they do with Peyton, what they do with Aaron Gordon. Obviously, like Joker and Jamal Murray will be around, but it's a big offseason for them.
Yeah, he's struggled to stay healthy with these soft tissue injuries. So hopefully he can get a good offseason, get healthy, and be ready to kind of come back with this team. But I am disappointed, and I think their window has completely been shut. All right, Eric. We got one more team. And that's this team that put them away. The Lakers put away the Houston Rockets.
I'll put my hat on for this one.
To me, I just want to go back to some comments by Jabari Smith Jr. talking about they have the better team and they're confident and all that good stuff. Well, they can take their confident ass to Galveston, Texas, and play in that dirty water like Charles Barkley said on TNT. I'm sending them to Galveston, Texas to have fun. They can't even go out of their state, Eric. They cannot go out of their state. That's how bad they played after they talked that mess after game 5.
And if you guys know, that's where Robert Durst from the Jinx was in Galveston, Texas.
Oh,
So that is not a good place. Look, Houston was without Kevin Durant, right? But they were talking that mess after that game 4 win, even though they were down 3-1. And I get that they won in LA and they were in their feels and they were trying to say all the right things, but at the same time throwing jabs. I guess now you could just take those jabs with you and go into the offseason because it's a wrap for you guys. You guys, Rockets, same record as last year, so 52-30. So it's kind of interesting. Last year they were 52-30 and they were the 2 seed. This year they're 52-30 and they're the 5 seed. And so you never know what the West. You can't really put a number because it's always going to fluctuate. They actually got a game further last year. They went to a game 7 against Golden State. We kind of all thought that they were just one player away in terms of having a closeout guy, somebody to close a game. We know that the Van Vliet and the Adams injuries obviously hurt them too. They don't have a lot of free agents really, coming up. They have a young team. I think Dorian Finney-Smith, I think that was a tough kind of contract that they're just going to have to see out. They're going to come up with, they're obviously going to probably be a player maybe in the trade market, maybe a free agent market this year. Because I feel like they have a nucleus, but they gotta get some scores, maybe some guys that can shoot a little bit better. But for now, off season they go.
Bye. Have fun in that dirty ass water over there.
Bye.
All right. So that wraps it up for our Schools Out edition for the 3 teams that are no longer with us in the NBA playoffs. All right, Eric, you got anything left for the show before we get out of here?
No, just happy to move on as far as the Lakers go to round 2. It's super excited for all these game 7s, and we'll be recapping it when they're all done. Yeah.
So we'll be on Sunday night after the game 7s on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to go over those game 7s. We're going to preview the Lakers OKC, kind of some more detail on what the Lakers need to do to kind of take advantage there. But until then, the Hoops Rehab team is out. Peace out, guys.
Peace out, everyone.